Why you keep loving people who hurt you. There's a specific kind of pain that doesn't make sense to anyone on the outside. You know someone hurts you. Your friends see it, you see it. But somehow you keep going back. You keep hoping. You keep loving them. And the worst part isn't the hurt they cause. The worst part is the voice inside your head that whispers, "Why can't I just stop?" If that hits close to home, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share isn't just psychology. It's the truth about why your heart keeps choosing what your mind keeps rejecting. Picture this. You meet someone. Maybe it starts beautifully. They're warm, they're magnetic, they make you feel seen in a way nobody ever has. You think, finally, someone who gets me. And for a while, it's everything you hoped it would be. Then slowly, something shifts. The warmth becomes inconsistent. One day they're all in, the next day they're cold, distant, almost like a stranger. They say something that cuts you deep. Then they apologize. Then it happens again. Then they're sweet again. And somehow that sweetness after the hurt feels more powerful than any consistent love you've ever received. You start building your life around their moods. You start shrinking yourself to keep the peace. You start telling yourself that if you love them just right, just enough, just the correct way, they'll go back to being the person you fell for. And you keep waiting. You keep loving, even as they keep hurting. Sound familiar? Here's what's actually happening inside you, and it has nothing to do with weakness. There's a pattern in psychology called intermittent reinforcement. It sounds technical, but the reality of it is something you've lived. Intermittent reinforcement means that rewards come randomly, unpredictably. Sometimes you get love, warmth, connection. Sometimes you get silence, criticism, coldness. And when love is unpredictable, the human brain doesn't give up on it. It becomes obsessed with it. Think about a slot machine. Nobody gets addicted to something that pays out every single time. The addiction comes from the uncertainty, from the almost, from the maybe this time. Your nervous system gets wired to chase that moment when they're finally good to you again. That moment feels like winning, and you'd go through tremendous pain just to feel it one more time. This is not a character flaw. This is biology. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do in an unpredictable environment. The problem is, it's happening in a relationship instead of a casino. But there's something even deeper here. Something that started long before this person entered your life. For so many people who love those who hurt them, the roots go back to childhood. Not because your parents were monsters. Sometimes they were simply inconsistent. Maybe love in your house was conditional. Maybe affection was tied to performance or mood or things you couldn't control as a child. Maybe you had a parent who was sometimes loving and sometimes withdrawn, sometimes present and sometimes terrifying. And because you were a child who needed love to survive, your brain made a profound decision. It decided that love is supposed to feel like this, that love comes with tension, that you have to earn it, that if someone is consistent and easy and stable, it somehow doesn't feel real. It feels boring. It feels like it might disappear. So when you grow up and meet someone who gives you that same unpredictable, electric, painful kind of love, something deep inside you recognizes it. It feels like home, not because it's good, but because it's familiar. And familiar always feels safer than unfamiliar, even when it's destroying you. Let me tell you about someone. Her name doesn't matter. What matters is that you might recognize her. She grew up with a father who had brilliant, loving days, and then suddenly cold, distant ones. She never knew which version would come home. So she learned to be hypervigilant, to read the room, to work hard for love that should have been unconditional. Decades later, she found herself in a relationship with a man who was exactly the same. Not because she chose pain, because she chose what felt like love to her nervous system. She worked for his attention. She cherished his good days. She survived his bad ones. She believed the way she believed as a little girl, that if she was just good enough, consistent enough, patient enough, she would finally crack the code. She never did. Not with him. Not until she understood what she was actually chasing. She wasn't chasing him. She was chasing the version of love she never got as a child. Here's the part that might stop you in your tracks. When someone who hurts you occasionally shows you gentleness, your brain doesn't experience it as normal love. It experiences it as relief, and relief is one of the most powerful feelings a human being can feel. More powerful than consistent happiness. More memorable than steady warmth. Because contrast creates intensity. That's why you remember the one amazing night with them more than the 10 terrible weeks. That's why one apology can erase months of damage in your mind, even when nothing actually changes. Your heart isn't broken. It's been trained. Trained to associate love with effort, with pain, with almost, with hope. And breaking that training is one of the hardest things a human being can do. Not because you're weak, but because you're being asked to let go of the entire emotional vocabulary you were taught. So, what do you actually do with all of this? First, you stop blaming yourself for loving them. You are not stupid. You are not broken. You have a heart that was shaped by experiences that taught it the wrong definition of love. That is not your fault. Second, you start recognizing the pattern in real time. When you feel that desperate pull to go back, when you feel like you can't breathe without their validation, pause. Ask yourself honestly, am I missing them, or am I missing the feeling of finally being chosen by someone who usually doesn't? Third, you understand that real love, healthy love, will feel different. It might feel quiet at first. It might feel almost too easy. You might even mistake stability for lack of passion. This is the moment where you have to trust the knowledge more than the feeling, because your feelings were calibrated in chaos. There's a quiet realization that comes to people who do this work. It usually arrives not as a dramatic moment, but as a slow, gentle understanding. The person you kept going back to wasn't the love of your life. They were a mirror. They reflected back every wound you were never allowed to heal, every belief you had about not being enough, every time you were taught that love has to be earned. And in that way, they served a purpose, a painful, costly, unfair purpose, but a purpose. The question now is whether you're going to keep learning the same lesson, or whether you're ready to learn a new one. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to survive it. You deserve consistency that doesn't feel boring. You deserve someone whose good days aren't conditional gifts, but simply who they are. That kind of love exists, but you won't be able to recognize it until you begin to believe you deserve it. And you won't believe you deserve it until you sit with the truth that the love you keep chasing was never really about them. It was always about healing something in yourself that someone else broke, long before they ever showed up. The cycle ends the moment you stop looking for the wound to be healed by the same kind of hand that created it. You are not someone who loves too much. You are someone who was never shown what enough looks like. And that difference changes everything.